Welcome everyone to today's session on Prospero financial reporting, budgeting, and analysis. Today's session will be focusing on the financial reporting piece of Prospero for us, namely because we are going to be looking at clients that are currently using Microsoft FRX and are looking for a replacement for that application. So this is our replacing Microsoft FRX with Prospero financial reporting session. Let me start off with a little bit about our company before we jump into Prospero itself. So our company is the MSX Group, and we started this company back in 2009 as a consulting and support company for the Microsoft financial reporting and budgeting solutions, namely Management Reporter, Microsoft Forecaster, and Microsoft FRX. We have been working with those products before we started this company. So even before this company, we were with Microsoft handling software support for those applications, software services for those applications, and training for them as well. And even before that, we were with Great Plains and with FRX software as well. So 20 plus years for each of us in the company right now, going back to those different companies and focusing on these applications that whole time. Pretty much right after we started this company, we started development on Prospero. And because we knew Microsoft was going to discontinue development and support on all those products, MR, Forecaster, and FRX. So we rolled Prospero out first with financial reporting, and pretty much the year after that, we added budgeting to it. So it's a all-in-one software solution for financial reporting and budgeting, although we do sell them separately. You don't have to buy both of them at the same time. So that was how we have gone forward with a replacement plan for those Microsoft legacy products. So let me switch over to the next slide with you, a little bit about reporting. The same things you have inside Microsoft FRX. You can use Prospero reporting for all of your financial statements that you need for your company, your income statements, balance sheet statements, cash flow statements, trial balance statements, and any other supporting schedule that you want to pull together from your GL data. With all those statements, you've got drill down the same way you currently have with FRX. You double click on a row and you drill down through the trees or to the account level detail pages, so you can see exactly what account numbers all the balances are posted to. You can also drill down to the transaction level details and see all of the entries that make up those balances for those accounts. So easy to access that all inside Prospero, pretty much the same way you would inside FRX. Quick note there, FRX's drill down is a separate application. So you have the FRX drill down viewer. We handle all of ours right inside Prospero, just on separate tabs inside Prospero. And for any report data that you generate inside Prospero, you can look at those reports in numeric layouts, and you can also look at those in charts and graphs. Those are built in for any report you build inside Prospero. And it's not just static charts and graphs inside Prospero. You can actually double click and drill down through those charts and graphs to get to the lower levels of details. Few points about comparisons between Prospero and FRX. You'll see a lot of similarities in how we build reports inside Prospero. We use rows and columns, or we call them line sets and column sets inside Prospero. Same way you have a row format and a column layout inside FRX for every report you build, we have a line set and a column set for every report you build. Any reports that you generate inside Prospero, you can send those directly to the screen, which is our default output. You can also generate those directly to Excel or to PDF formats or to the printer, which that seems like it would be a given. But a lot of our clients who are using FRX, they did not go to Management Reporter because Management Reporter did not offer really simple things like that. So in Management Reporter, you couldn't generate a report directly to Excel or directly to PDF or to the printer. You'd always have to look at it on the screen first and then do those export and print options. So, we looked at those options inside FRX. We like to have those options, so we kept those inside Prospero. The same thing goes for the next bullet point about summarizing balances by any of your segments in your chart of accounts or by companies. FRX could do that. Microsoft dropped that with Management Reporter, so you could not summarize your balances by any of those different segments. We included that with Prospero. It's just a great way to summarize data as you drill down through it and kind of get a glimpse of where that data is coming from. So we can summarize balances inside Prospero's reports by your companies or any of your accounts or other segments from your chart of accounts. Going from FRX over to Prospero, we do have a huge improvement over how the data is stored for you. You know, FRX has access databases, has a lot of files on the network, especially in the shared sysdata folder. Every time you run a report, it goes to a .frd file that you can go anywhere on the network. We have moved everything for Prospero's reports into a SQL database. So it's not your GL database. It's all going to be a separate Prospero SQL database that will hold all of your report definitions, all of your line sets, column sets, the trees inside of Prospero, and all of the reports that you generate as well, all the account balances, transaction details, all in one centralized SQL database. So a huge step forward from how FRX stored their data versus our new Prospero SQL database. And there is a big difference in Prospero for reporting trees. So FRX had a very strict way of how to structure reporting trees inside the reports. We have changed that completely inside Prospero, made it more flexible and dynamic. We let you make up summaries for any of your accounts, any of your companies, and any of your other segments, any which way you need to. And then reference those summaries in any row of your reports, any columns of your reports, and as a prompt whenever you run reports. So very similar concept to how FRX had reporting trees, but when you see them, they are completely different inside the application. All right, I do see that question that came in about the SQL database. I'll cover that in just a little bit with you. Or Rob might catch that one for me. I am going to take us over to Prospero next and walk you through a report and show you the navigation for that app for Prospero and how everything's handled for reporting. All right, for navigation inside Prospero, completely different look and feel from FRX. New navigation, you know, FRX had that large control panel for the home screen with row formats, columns, trees, and the catalog list. We have a quick launch here, and we have a main navigation panel on the left-hand side. So looking at the left-hand side for our main navigation, I've got buttons for reports. So if I click that once, all of my report definitions are displayed at the top of this list, which I can organize into any kind of folders I want to set up in this list here just to summarize our reports. We have buttons for our line sets. They're all listed at the top there. We can summarize those in folders as well. Same thing for our column sets, our trees, which I'll go ahead and mention. You know, we have under this current folder for tree definitions, we have summaries for any of our companies, any of our naturals, departments, locations as well. So we summarize any of these segments, any of your companies or accounts, any which way we need to. We have an all summary for each one of these. If you ever add a new department or location or company or account inside your general ledger, they get picked up automatically in this all summary. And we also have options to add other summaries as well. For example, a location, we have the all locations tree. We've also built a summary for the whole company by division and the whole company by region. So we can set these up, define these any which way we need to, and reference any of these summaries in any row of the reports, any columns of the reports, or as prompts when we run the reports. So easy to summarize that data, mix and match, and use them in any kind of report layout. On the right-hand side, there's plenty of other buttons on the left-hand side, but those are just ones I want to mention to get us started here. On the right-hand side, I am looking at our Quick Launch tab, And I've got sections for all of our reports and charts that this user would use most often. I've got report collections this user uses most often. I have budget input as well and some other ones. Every tile here on the left is a different report or chart or graph that this user could just click once to bring up the prompt window and start running that report. Report collections, kind of like chaining reports inside FRX, but we think it's a lot cleaner approach where you can pull up the report collection definition. You can see all of the reports that are in that definition. With FRX, you would never really be sure if you're looking at the first report in that chain of reports or just somewhere in the middle. So here with report collections, you see them all listed individually on one screen, and you'll know if you've got 5 altogether or 10 different reports altogether in that collection right away. I'm going to use this monthly income statement actual to budget variances as my example for you. I'll just click this once and this bring up the prompt for this individual report. Now before I click OK to actually run this report, I've got my prompts at the top left for company. I'm going to run this for company 1, our US company. Location is set currently to all for all locations and all departments as well. I can change this to reference any of those summary trees that we just looked at on the left-hand side. And in fact, for location, instead of all, I'll use my lookup button. And I'm going to browse out and I will go for total company by region for this example. And when I built that summary, total company by region, I'll expand that. I can see I've got my summaries for my East region, South, West, Midwest, and everything that rolls up into those. So easy to summarize all that data in those trees and use these as prompts when you run the reports. Now, in addition to the prompts, the top left here, we'll fill in the date I want to run the report for the year and the period, and your output at the bottom. Workspace just opens up the report in a new tab once it processes. Or, you could send this directly to the printer, directly to Excel, directly to PDF, or to a published report. Published report for us is our way of archiving this copy of this report so that you have a static copy of these numbers and you know the exact numbers that you gave out to your report viewers on this date and time. So that's our way of archiving reports. It's kind of like FRX's .frd files. So I'll send this out to the workspace and click OK to process this. And that opens up in a new tab for us. A little bit about the layout for this report. Income statement with a revenue header all the way down through net income and total underscores at the bottom. All these rows are listed in our line set. We'll look at that in a little bit, which is similar to FRX's row formats. We have a description column on the left, a column for actuals, budget, dollar variances, and percent variances. All these columns are listed in our column set, very similar to FRX's column layouts. When you design your report definitions, you control the fonts, the sizes, the background shading, the font colors, report headers, report footers, the same way you would have inside FRX. So a lot of similarities there in going from FRX formatting over into Prospero formatting. And in fact, your formatting that you have inside FRX, we'll just copy that over to Prospero for you. Drill down inside the report definitions, very similar to FRX. So double click on any row to get access to the additional level of account level detail and transaction level details here. If I double click on salaries, this opens up the account level detail for that row on a new tab here. So I've got all the individual accounts and all their balances that made up the balance for that row. Easy to go back and forth since I just have tabs across the top. Jump to any of those right here at the top. Now, if you did not want to drill down through directly to the account level detail, you could re-summarize any of these balances by any of your companies, any of your segments, or through the reporting tree, the tree for location as well. So if I close this tab, I'm back to the first page of the report. If I want to change the drill down order, I'll go to the top here, click the button for change drill down order. And at the top level is account level detail. I know I used a location tree organizing all these balances by regions. So if I want to see that, I just click and drag this to the top of my list and click OK here. And now, if I double click on salaries, instead of going to the account level page, it drills down to the summary by region. I have 30,000 from the South region, 49 from West, and 63,000 from the Midwest. So easy to resummarize that data anytime you want to drill down to the next level. Now, any of your your reports here, you can look at it in the numeric layout, which I have here. And you can also look at that data in charts and graphs. And it's easy to take this report that I'm looking at currently and change it to the chart view just by going to the top. And in the ribbon, click one time, display as chart. This will take that data, open it up in a new tab for us. I have a summary version of this report for the chart here. I've got actuals on the left-hand side. I've got budget on the right-hand side. And I've got this broken down by net revenue. I can see that for actuals it's about 1.4 million, about 77% of this total here. And on the red wedges of the pie, total expenses about 420,000, about 22% of the total here. And these charts and graphs are not static. I can double click on these pieces of the pie and double click to the next level of detail. So if I double click on total expenses, this will drill down through that part of the pie. All these are expenses now. I can see that all of the expenses from the Midwest total about 264,000, East about 27,000 for expenses, South 35, and West 93. So easy to drill down to the next level, summarizing that data. You can change that summary view if you need to. And when I double clicked, it opened up this pie view on a different tab here. I can go right back to the previous tab with one click. So easy navigation there between different drill down levels in the report. Let me close this tab here. Back to the first pie chart with net revenue versus total expenses. Let me show you a little bit about resummarizing this data. So instead of drilling down to the location levels, let me change my drill down level. I'll take it back to the account level drill down up top. And then look at this in the chart view. So this view is the same, but now if I double click on total expenses, this will show me all my expenses that I have out there. And it's going to be cluttered, but that's okay. I can clean it up and summarize that data as well. So if I double click on total expenses, this opens up in a new tab for us. All the individual accounts are listed here: overtime, bonus money, salaries, everything else. I can summarize this, going to options up top and checking the box that says group small slices. Now I've got everything here summarized by anything less than 5% is in this large piece of the pie here. So the things that are greater than 5% of the previous chart was supplies, overtime, bonuses, salaries, and exempt salaries. So easy to take that data, summarize it, even after you drill down through it. Now, FRX did have a charting option. It was an extra add-on for FRX. This comes built into Prospero, and this graphical display is available for any report data you have inside Prospero: actuals, budget, prior budgets, statistics, reforecasted numbers. Anything you have inside Prospero is available for reporting and available for charting and graphing. All right, let me close out of a couple of tabs here. I am back to my report that we started with. You know, when I ran this report, I mentioned that you can send it directly to the printer or Excel or PDF or published reports. And you can do the same thing after you have generated a report. If you have it open on the screen here in this tab and you have proofed the numbers, you can always go to the top here and print right here with this icon for print, send it to PDF versions, Excel, or publish it. which again, publishing is our way of making a static copy of these numbers. So even if you go out into the GL and accidentally change a number from last month, you'll still have this version with these numbers, so you know that these are the ones that you passed out to everybody on this date and time. A little bit more about navigation for your views inside the reports here. We've got the ribbon at the top with some easy navigation options for jumping right to the bottom of this report, jumping right back to the very top of this report. And the go-to option will let you jump to any header rows in here, subtotals in any part of the report itself. So easy navigation using those buttons in the ribbon up top. FRX had some of those. There's a little bit different for FRX, but if you have a very lengthy report, those buttons come in handy. We looked at the drill down options to the account level detail page. A lot of times you want to have a complete list of all your account numbers on one page. We do have that option inside Prospero. Auditors love this. We've got the full account detail option up top. So click that once. This will go out and pull back this report and expand every row here for every account that makes up these totals all on one page. So I can see all the sales section all grouped together, all the cost of goods accounts all grouped together. So a great way to get all that detail on one page here for us. And I got questions that are coming in. I see Rob is helping me catch those. Thank you, Rob. And I'll look at those and see if I want to call those out as well in just a little bit. Okay, let me look at published reports with you inside Prospero. So any report that you run, you can publish that and save that static copy. When I click publish up top, this will ask me which folder do I want to store this published report in. I know I ran it for December 2019. And okay to publish that. That saves that copy. It saves it inside Prospero's SQL database. So it's not on the network. All these folders, icons on the left, they're not like Windows Explorer folders. They're just organizing the reports and the definitions inside Prospero's SQL database. A little note here that this was successfully published. And you have all the drill down options that you have for this published report that you have for unpublished reports, export, send to PDF, printer. But something that you have here that you do not have for unpublished versions is the panel on the right-hand side that says annotations. So this is a great option inside Prospero that will let any of your users add notes to this report. So they click one time on any row here, go in and click the add button at the bottom right-hand side of the annotations panel. They'll type in their text and click OK to save it to this published version of this report. That adds a little blue marker on the left-hand row of that left-hand side of that row. If I put my cursor over that blue square, it pops up and shows me the text of the last note that was added to that row. And on the right-hand side, I can see the user ID admin that added that text, the date and time it was added, and the text itself. The next person opens up this report, they can see the notes I've added. They can also add their notes here as well. So it's a great way for your individual report users to collaborate with these published reports, especially if you've got a report like this where you've got actuals to budget and you've got different people that need to go through and explain any variances to everybody else in the budget process. So great collaborative way right here inside Prospero for letting all those users see the reports, add their notes and comments here. Yep, so does publish have drill down like we have for unpublished reports? Yep, you got the drill down. So I just, this was a annotations part here, but if I double click on salaries and expense, this drills down the same way we had for the unpublished version. And if I go back, this is the published version here. I can also change the drill down order for this report, change this to charts and graphs here for that report. So the same options you have for the unpublished version you have for the published, but the published version gives you that annotations option. All right, let me take us back to the quick launch window here. And I want to show you briefly the line set and the column set we use to build this report. So I'm going to, I should have left this open. I'll just run this again. Open up that report. And again, when you open a report, or you run it or anything else, it just opens up in a new tab right here in the same application. You don't have to go to a separate application like Drill Down Viewer. It's all right here in one location. Any report that you are looking at on the screen, if you want to go to the line set or the column set it uses, you've got easy buttons at the top left here. This opens up the line set it uses. This opens up the column set. This opens up the report definition itself. So when I look at the line set, I want to mention that this is a very lengthy list of accounts here. In the line set we're going to look at, we do have the rows detailed from the revenue header row all the way down to the expense row. All those are detailed individually in the line set. But for expenses, I have a long list of accounts here, but in the line set, I only have one row for the total expense row, and I've set that to automatically expand and show me any individual accounts in that total. So this is something that we could not do inside FRX. We felt like it was a great addition for reducing maintenance. And I'll go ahead and open up that line set and look at that with you here. So our line set definitions, very similar to FRX's row formats. That's what it does for us for the definitions. A little different look and feel. We have a lot more options inside Prospero than we had inside FRX. If you don't need these options, you can always just hide these different sections inside the definition. But I'll open these all back up. And I'm just going to look at a few things here with you for a high-level overview. So code column on the left-hand side, very similar to FRX's row codes, and these most often are used in formulas for subtotals per se or other calculation types. We've got a column for our natural codes, and this line set here just has natural, but if I needed any references to my other segments or other companies, I can go to the right-hand side and open up those additional columns. And then I've got an extra column for companies, locations, and departments. I can fill those in for any of my rows in my line set here. The top section of this report has individual accounts listed in the natural column. I've got two accounts here added together. Account 4109, 4110, 4250 listed individually. I do have a summary for cost of goods sold. So let me show you that one with the lookup button here. If I look at the cost of goods sold summary account, just expand that, I can see that it is pulling balances from any account that starts with a 5. So wildcards, we have the asterisk and we have question marks as far as wildcards, and that is summarizing our cost of goods sold. So if you ever added a new account that started with a 5 for cost of goods sold, this would pick it up automatically. You don't have to come back and make any changes to the line set or the tree definition because we're using wildcards. Total expenses. When we ran the report, we had a long list of expenses. Here we just have one row, total expenses. I'm using a reference for a summary account, EXPN. And if I open that up and look at that definition, this will show me that I have got in that section a range of accounts from 6,000 through all of the 8,000s. So if I ever added a new expense account in the general ledger in that range, this would pick that up. I do not have to make any changes inside Prospero for that to get picked up. The next time I run the report, it'll be there automatically. So a great way to reduce maintenance. Build these summaries, build this with ranges, build them with wildcards, and then reference those inside your line sets or anywhere else like column sets or prompts. And for this one row for total expenses, if I did nothing else, I would just get one row with a total expense balance. But I do have an expansion option, and I've told this row to expand above this row automatically and show me all the individual accounts that make up that total. So just one row, and it shows me every account in the whole section. Now, your row formats from FRX, we can copy those from FRX over to here. So different layout for it, but we pull all that from FRX with you, so you do not have to recreate those. You'll have those when you get up and running, and we have a very quick process for doing that copy from FRX definitions over to Prospero. So less than a week. We do the copy in a day, in fact. We'll look at the column set with you next. So I'll close out the line sets. Back to my report tab. And if I want to look at the column set for this report, I'll go to the top left for columns. And this has a very similar look and feel to your column layouts back in FRX. Every different type of column has a particular type. This was for descriptions in column A. We've got columns that are pulling balances from the general ledger data. I'm pulling actual data for this column, original budget for this column, for whatever year I run the report for, and for whatever period I run the report for, and periodic activity. So very similar concepts to FRX's base concept for the year and period. We've got some calculated columns here for dollar variances and percent variances as well. And we also have 3 extra columns for transaction level details if I wanted to drill down to batch balances, reference IDs, or source IDs for these. So you can add those columns as well. They only show up if you drill down to the transaction level detail pages. Again, this is very similar to your column layouts back in FRX, and all those column layout definitions in FRX, we will copy those for you using our copy tool. So it's not manual copy and paste. We go out there and just pull that from FRX and have those definitions inside Prospero. So just like the line sets, they're there for you when you get ready, when you get started. If I needed more columns than columns A through H, I just click the right arrow key on the keyboard. We'll add as many columns to these definitions as we need to. So very similar look and feel for FRX here for you. Header rows up top, all the definitions at the bottom. Okay, I'm back to the report tab with you. I want to mention a couple things on the home button up top for the home menu. I've got the catalog view. So if you ever wanted to see all of the report definitions you have inside Prospero, you can click that. Every row here is a different report definition inside Prospero. Shows you right away what line set each one of these uses, what column set each one of these uses. And a lot of these line sets and column sets, these are mix and matchable and reusable. Same way FRX will let you mix and match and reuse all those definitions for rows and columns. We do as well. Just a great way of reducing maintenance. So you can have one line set for an income statement and use it in 50 different report definitions against 50 different column definitions. This window also shows you things like when this was created, what user ID created this report, when was it last modified and by who, and when it was last used and published. So a lot of great information right here in the catalog view for you for every definition you've got inside Prospero. And the same way you could export definitions from FRX to an external file, a .tdb file, you can do the same thing inside here. Just click, highlight what you want to pull out to that external file and export those definitions. Kind of a manual backup process, or pull it out that way in order to send it to a different database. And also right here on the home ribbon up top, a great feature that we added right here on the end is feedback and support. So anybody who's using Prospero, this is a product that we are actively building on. We're actively adding bells and whistles all the time. You've got constant development, and we really treasure what the community sends to us as far as adding to this application. We want to make it as most user-friendly and productive for you that we can. If you have anything to send to us, you just click this. This brings up a window, and you'll just fill in whatever title for this, your email address and description, and send us any suggestions, send us any issues with the application, or request support assistance. And when you send this in, this goes to everybody at the company. It goes to everybody in development, everybody in support, and the next person in line will just pick that up and run with it. But a great and easy way to send information back to us, get our attention very quickly. All right. So we have looked at a lot of features inside Prospero for reporting. Again, you could have budgeting inside this application as well, but we do sell those separately. We have purchase options as perpetual users. You can buy it all up front, or you have subscription purchase options as well. For implementations, you can have all of Prospero installed locally on your company servers, as far as the SQL database, the IIS, and the application itself. You have everything hosted in the cloud, which we can host on our service for you, or any other cloud hosting service, or any mix, any hybrid of that. So we just have to make sure we have the communications between those three pieces, the SQL, IIS, and the application, to get all that communication going back and forth. But local implementations, cloud, or any hybrid. All right, I think Rob has handled those questions that came in through the question section. Thank you, Rob. I am going to start wrapping up here for today. The big picture behind Prospero here and FRX is that we can get you up and running very quickly from FRX to Prospero with migration that will copy your definitions, your row formats, column layouts, catalog IDs over to Prospero. Reporting trees are completely different, but we do handle that as well. Easy process to get that copied up and running for you. So we looked at a lot of information on that left-hand side. We did not touch on budgeting, that list on the right-hand side, but we looked at that income statement as an example, easy analysis, changeable drill down order, dynamic charts and graphs, publishing reports. I mentioned report collections, where you can put several reports into one collection and have them all generate at one time, either directly to the screen or directly to the printer, Excel, PDF, or published versions. And all those options are available for generating reports directly to those output options. And I mentioned we have that migration option that we can copy all of your definitions from FRX over to Prospero to get you up and running very quickly. So you do not have to recreate all those definitions from scratch, which could be pretty time consuming if you're going through that process. And if you're looking for the next step in this process, we'll be glad to join any of you for a private demo. We can set you up for a free 30-day trial site, and in that 30-day trial site, we can even use your chart of accounts and your GL data. Makes it really a lot easier to compare the two applications using your own data, and give you a no obligation quote in that process as well. We do think we are very competitive as far as the pricing. In fact, subscription modeling will start you off at $114 a month even to get you up and running for reporting. But we'll be glad to give you an official quote in an email. All right. I am going to go ahead and wrap up the session. Thank you all for joining me today. If you have any questions, you've got our email on the screen there, info@msxgroup.com. We look forward to hearing from you for a private demo, a free 30-day trial site, or a quote from us. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day.